There are words that echo long after they're spoken, not because they were loud or elaborate, but because they carried something sacred, intention. You've heard many things from many lips, but when a man says certain things, you don't just hear them. You feel them in your bones. That is the difference between affection and love. So ask yourself, do his words bring me closer to myself, or do they pull me away from my center? This speech is not just about hearing him. It's about hearing yourself through him until the end. And you may discover that love, real love, is not just what he feels for you, but what he awakens within you. Let us begin this journey into the quiet truth that lives behind 4 simple things a man says when he's truly in love. There are words that do not rise from the tongue, but from the stillness between heartbeats. When spoken, they carry with them not noise, a weight, an echo of presence, of truth. The man who says, "Take your time, I'll be here," is not simply filling the silence. He is acknowledging the sacred pace of another soul. This is not affection wrapped in obligation. It is love free from the hunger to possess. It is the kind of love that pulls, not grabs. That waits not because it is patient, but because it understands. In a world that runs with the rhythm of clocks, such a man moves with the rhythm of trust. He does not rush the unfolding of your petals, nor fears the time it takes for your soul to return to light. His presence says, "I do not fear your becoming. I am not measuring your pace against my own longing. I am here, rooted, still listening." A monk once asked his teacher, "What is the nature of love?" The old man picked up a clay bowl, walked to a small pond, and dipped it gently into the water. He held it steady. No splash, no disturbance, just stillness. Love, he said, is when the water allows itself to be held without fear, and the bowl does not tremble. The disciple looked into the bowl. The water reflected both their faces. When the hand holding it is calm, the water remains clear. That is what it means when someone says, "Take your time, I'll be here." They are not watching your clock. They are watching your essence. They are not waiting to see results. They are present for your return to yourself. And in doing so, they themselves return again and again to the quiet field of their own patience. We see this in nature. The mountain never calls out to the clouds, "Hurry." The clouds drift. The mountain waits. Both are at peace with their roles. A tree does not yell at the seedling to rise faster toward the sun. It simply shades it until the time comes. The tree trusts the process. It has seen many seasons. In daily life, this kind of love shows itself quietly. A man notices that you have closed off for reasons even you do not fully understand. Instead of asking, "What's wrong?" or "Why are you being distant?" he simply brings you a cup of warm tea, places it beside you, and sits in silence. He doesn't prod. He doesn't fix. He allows your breath to find its own rhythm again. He becomes the space in which you are allowed to not know, to feel, to dissolve. There is no performance in this love. There is no countdown. He is not waiting for you to return to who you were. He is making space for you to become who you were. That is a love not of the surface, but of the root. The philosopher Han Shan once wrote, "My heart is like the autumn moon, clear and bright in an open sky. Nothing stands between us but the wind, and still I wait. In such waiting, there is no desperation. There is reverence. He sees you as a soul, not a schedule. And if you take 1,000 steps toward yourself, he will be there at each one, not beside you with fanfare, but behind you with stillness. Now we turn gently like a leaf in the current to the second sign, for you don't have to be perfect around me. If the first statement is about Dar's patience, the second is about Dapa's permission. To be told that you need not wear the mask, need not hide the bruise. need not smile when your spirit is aching. This is a form of liberation that very few relationships offer. Most love you for your light, admire your wounds. But the rare soul who embraces the entire mosaic without demand, this is someone who sees you, not the idea of you. There was once a Shaolin novice who swept the courtyard every morning. His strokes were clean, his lines perfect. He was praised often for the care he took. But one morning, he broke his broom and sat down, defeated. Old monk passed and saw his troubled face. "Why do you sit?" the elder asked. "I've broken my broom. I cannot sweep. I've failed." The old monk chuckled softly, sat beside him, and began gathering leaves with his hands. The wind blew some away. Still, he continued, "You think your perfection is what we value, but I came to sit with you now, not when you were sweeping. Because now you are as real. This is the teaching. Real love begins when the performance ends. When a man says, 'You don't have to be perfect around me,' he is not simply being kind. He is inviting your humanity to the table. Your stumbles, your fears, your awkward silences, your strange dreams, your sharp edges, all are welcome. Not because he enjoys your flaws, because he knows that only in your wholeness do you truly breathe. In nature, the most powerful landscapes are not flawless. A mountain's beauty lies in its scars, its asymmetry, its erosion. The river does not apologize for curving instead of flowing straight. It simply follows the terrain of truth. The lotus, the sacred flower of awakening, rises from fetter's mud, not from polished stone. In relationships, perfection is a barrier. It demands upkeep. It invites exhaustion. When someone lets you lay it down, even for a moment, you are no longer performing life but living it, and in such presence, real intimacy is born. There is a young woman who always wore makeup around her partner, always spoke gently, always smiled, until one evening, in tears, she let it all fall. Her partner said nothing, just took her hand and breathed with her. That moment was the beginning, not of a perfect relationship, but of a truthful one. Love, when real, is not allergic to the unpolished parts of us. It leans in. It says, "You can unravel, and I will not run." A less often quoted line from Nagarjuna, the great Buddhist thinker, says, "Chuo, if you see a jewel covered in dust, do not throw it away. Wash it, for the dust is not the jewel." True love washes gently. It does not judge the dust. It does not try to chisel the jewel into another shape. It simply allows it to be. When someone sees you cry and does not interrupt, when you forget your lines and they do not laugh, when your anxiety flares and they do not walk away, when you fail and they do not withdraw, you are no longer required to be perfect to be safe. You are simply safe. These first two signs, "Take your time, I'll be here," and "You don't have to be perfect around me," are not romantic gestures. They are spiritual invitations. Invitations to drop your guard, to return to your center, to breathe as you are. Love, in its highest form, is not a possession. It is the sky that allows every cloud to pass. It is the earth that welcomes both sun and storm. And so, journey continues, slowly, gently, with no need to rush. Each word he speaks, if it rises from stillness, leads you not to him, but to yourself. And in that, there is peace. Love is often imagined as a destination, a fixed place two people arrive at together. But in its truest form, love is not a place, it is a path, a flowing, shifting movement. When a man says, I want to grow with you, he is not merely speaking of companionship. He is choosing a path that includes not only your laughter and ease, but your shadows, your changes, your becoming. This desire to grow with someone is a rare kind of maturity. It means he does not expect you to stay as you are. He does not cling to who you were yesterday. Instead, he looks into the mystery of what you may become and says, "I will walk that unknown with you. There is courage in such love. It is not rooted in control, but in Evie's commitment to unfolding. A Shaolin master once said to a young disciple, "Water flows forward, never backward. So must you." The disciple asked, "What if I flow away from those I love?" The master replied, "If they love you with truth, they will build a boat, not a dam." To grow with someone is to recognize that transformation is inevitable. The self you are today may not be the self you are tomorrow. And when love is present, growth is not feared, it is welcomed. The seasons change, and still the forest remains. Trees lose their leaves, and yet they are not less complete. In nature, we find no resistance to change. Caterpillar becomes the butterfly, not with ease, but with surrender. The man who says he wants to grow with you is choosing to cocoon beside you, to endure the dissolving, the in-between, the new wings. He does not demand clarity at every turn. He walks with you through fog, through fire, through silence. He is not there only for the blooming. He is there for the shedding. In daily life, growth can look like distance, like disagreement, like discomfort. But when rooted in love, these are not signs of falling apart. They are signs of realignment. A couple who chooses to grow together does not avoid conflict. They pause, listen, adapt. They do not stand on opposite sides of a problem. They stand side by side, facing the problem together. Consider two musicians. One plays fast, the other slow. At first, they seem out of sync. But over time, they begin to listen. One softens, the other adjusts. And soon a rhythm emerges. Not perfect, but alive. That is growth. Not rigid harmony, but evolving attunement. A gardener once told his apprentice, "The flower does not grow faster because you stare at it, but it does grow stronger if you tend the soil." In a relationship, growth is rarely loud. It is in the small acts. The apology offered without defense, the silence shared without fear, the vision built together without needing it all to be clear. There is a seldom heard line from the Taoist master Zhuangzi. When two people walk together, their shadows merge. But when the sun shifts, the shadows part. And still walk. Growth means your light may shift, your paths may twist. But if your footsteps remain in rhythm, the journey continues. The man who wants to grow with you is not asking for comfort. He is asking for realness. He is saying, "Let us become what we must, even if it costs us who we were." In this, there is sacred companionship. In this, there is the dance of fire and ash, of seed and bloom. And now we drift into the next quiet truth. The fourth sign, I feel safe with you. In a world where many are taught to guard, to harden, to perform strength, this phrase is not ordinary. When spoken from the heart, it is a quiet confession. It means more than comfort. It means surrender. It means that in your presence, something in him unknots. He no longer needs to be the fortress. He lays down his weapons. He breathes with both lungs unhidden. To feel safe with someone is to feel seen and still remain whole. It is to expose the unpolished parts of the self without fear of being diminished. For many men, this is not easily done. Vulnerability has often been taught as weakness. Silence is encouraged, emotion disguised. So when a man says, "I feel safe with you," it means you have become a space where his soul is allowed to breathe unarmored. There is a story from the mountain temples of Old. A warrior came to a monk and said, "I have fought many battles. I know how to strike, to defend, to conquer. I do not know how to rest." The monk led him to a small pool. "Strike the water," he said. The warrior did. The surface rippled violently. "Now watch." The monk whispered. In time, the water calmed. The warrior saw his own reflection. This is what safety feels like, not because there is no storm, but because there is space for it to pass. In real life, kind of safety is not built overnight. It is built moment by moment, through trust, through listening, through reaction. When someone feels safe, they do not perform. They do not need to impress. Their nervous system softens. Their heart stops scanning for exit signs. You may find this safety in simple moments when he tells you about his childhood fears and you do not laugh, when he stumbles in his dreams and you do not judge him, when he goes quiet and you do not demand answers, only offer presence. Safety is not found in grand declarations. It is built in the space between words, in the silence where nothing needs to be fixed, in the gaze that does not search for what's wrong, in the embrace that asks for nothing. A quiet line from the Buddhist Nanaya Kima holds this truth true. To be free is to feel safe inside one's own being, and to be loved is to be helped toward that freedom. The man who feels safe with you is not weaker for it. He is more himself. That is the greatest offering any soul can make. He has allowed you into the garden behind the gate. He trusts that you will not trample the soil. Together, these two signs, I want to grow with you and I feel safe with you, weave a deeper story, one of mutual evolution, of sanctuary. One says, I choose the path, however winding. The other says, I trust you with my silence along the way. And so, as the river continues its slow, sacred course, may you listen for these truths, not in words alone, but in tone, in action, in stillness. For love is not always loud. Sometimes it is the quiet invitation to be, to change, to return, to remain. When love is rooted in awareness, it does not try to mold or dominate. It does not disguise control as care or advice as authority. There is a purity in the way it moves, quietly, like wind through a forest. You cannot hold it, but you feel it in every leaf it stirs. When a man says, I only want what's best for you, without needing to direct your every step, he is not trying to shape you into an idea. He is walking beside you, not above you. His guidance does not carry the sharpness of ego, but the softness of reverence. This kind of love recognizes that your path is your own. He may point to the stars, but he does not choose which one you follow. He may see the river winding ahead, but he does not push a boat from behind. Instead, he walks alongside the water's edge, quietly ready should you need a steady hand, but never binding you to his pace. There is a story from the Zen mountains of the East. A student once asked his teacher, how do I know if someone's love is pure? The teacher poured tea into 2 cups. He gave one to the student and then turned the second cup upside down. He poured again. The tea flowed over the inverted cup across the table. The student laughed. This is love that insists, said the master. It tries to fill without asking if there is space. True love does not pour where the vessel is closed. It waits for the cup to open. Advice, when offered from love, never demands obedience. It is shared with humility and released without attachment. The man who truly loves you offers his thoughts with the same care that a gardener gives seeds to the wind. He trusts they will take root only where the soil is ready. In daily life, this becomes visible in the small moments. Perhaps you are unsure about a decision. He listens, not with an agenda, but with presence. He may offer reflections, but he does not try to script your outcome. He trusts your inner compass, even if your direction differs from his. And when you stumble, he does not say, I told you so. He says, I am still here. Thus, this is not passivity. It is the wisdom of restraint. It is the understanding that control may create order, but it does not create trust. And love without trust is like a tree without deep roots. It may stand, but it will not weather the storm. In the natural world, we see this kind of relationship between the moon and the tide. The moon does not command the water to rise. It simply pulls gently, offering direction without intrusion. The tide responds not from force, from resonance, a passage often forgotten from the writings of the philosopher Epictetus. reads, "He who tries to direct another's way forgets the labor of walking his own. To walk with someone means to let their steps fall where they must, to honor their hesitations, their detours, their returns. The man who loves with guidance but not control understands this deeply, honors the sacred mystery of becoming. And so, his care feels like wind on the back, not a chain around the wrist. His love breathes, does not constrict. It allows room to fail, to rise, to explore. It is not the love of a builder creating a structure. It is the love of a field, open and unbound, where you can run and return. From this place of gentle guidance, we arrive slowly at the final sign. He is in love with you when he no longer fears the silence between you, when he does not rush to fill the quiet, when his presence remains calm, even when no words are spoken. To invite someone into your silence is to share something far deeper than conversation. It is to offer them a seat within your unspoken world. To accept someone's silence without discomfort is to rest beside their soul, not just their voice. When a man says nothing but stays, it is not absence. It is presence of a rarer kind. In the old temples of the East, silence was not a gap between teachings. It was the teaching itself. A young monk once asked his master, "Why do you speak so little?" The elder smiled. "I speak only to direct your gaze inward. But the silence, that is where you will hear." When a man is able to sit with you in stillness, not needing to impress, entertain, or be reassured, it means he has found comfort in your essence, not just your expression. It means he values the unseen, not just the visible. There is a kind of love that does not need constant reassurance, that does not panic in the pause, that does not mistake quiet for distance. Simply is like the mountain resting beneath the stars. This love listens to the breath. It honors the gaps. It trusts that connection is not broken by stillness. It is often deepened by it. In nature, the deepest bonds are often wordless. Wolves lie side by side, saying nothing, and yet all is understood. The moonlight touches the sea, and though they never speak, the sea rises in reply. This is the language beneath language, the presence beneath performance. In a modern world filled with noise, such stillness can feel foreign, but it is here that the heart remembers its original rhythm. When you sit beside someone and both feel no need to feel the air, it means you are breathing from the same source, from trust, from peace. A lesser known teaching from the Buddhist master Ajahn Chah reads to her, "If you cannot be still with someone, you do not yet know them. And if you cannot be still with yourself, you do not yet know love." The man who invites you into his silence is not withdrawing. He is offering you the space where his soul rests. He is saying, "This is me without performance. Stay if you wish." And if you choose to stay without fear, then the love between you deepens like roots below the surface. Unseen but strong, these final signs, the guidance without control, and the silence that welcomes are not expressions of loud love. They are the subtleties that reveal depth. They show a man who is no longer seeking to prove, to own, or to perform. He is seeking to be and to share that running being with you. The journey through all 6 truths now lingers like incense smoke in a still room, each phrase a doorway, each sign a lantern on the path. And what they reveal ultimately is not merely that he loves you, but that he has found in you a place where his truest self is seen, softened, and safe. And perhaps more importantly, they invite you to ask, can you offer the same? To walk without rushing, to love without perfecting, to grow without forcing, to hold silence without fear, to speak with care but not control, to be the place where another soul can rest. For in the end, love is not what we say. It is what we become when the other stops speaking. It is the breath we share when there is nothing left to prove. Now that you've heard these 4 phrases, don't just wait to hear them from someone else. Speak them to yourself. Tell yourself, I'll be here. You don't need to be perfect. I want to grow. I feel safe with me. For when love is true, it does not begin from outside. It rises from within and is reflected in the eyes of another. The man who says these things may love you, but the real discovery is whether you are ready to receive such love, not by earning it, by recognizing your own worthiness to be seen. So listen again, feel deeper, and when it's quiet, ask yourself, what do my own words say about how I love?